Hey, South Hills. As you know, we are one church in many locations, and in the month of September, we launched South Hills, Virginia. And today, I have the privilege of being able to introduce to you our South Hills, Virginia campus pastor, Chris Cooper. I want him to take a moment, introduce himself to you, share a little bit about who he is and what's going on at our South Hills, Virginia campus.
Awesome. Thanks, Moses. Well, as Moses said, we're the campus pastors. I'm the campus pastor, but when I say campus pastors, my wife and I really lead the church together. She's a marriage and family therapist who's just a wealth of resource in caring for people. I've been a chaplain for 22 years, and we have a big military community there. So what was really cool is we do our grand opening. My concern was, will any unchurched people come? I mean, that's our mission, right? To reach out to unchurched people. But a young man comes walking in, and we get to talking and find out he doesn't know Christ. He's never been to church. He says, I just met some of your people at the coffee house playing a game night, and they invited me, and I just wanted to have community and family. And that's the kind of family we're building in Virginia. And we've had a lot of good stories like that. But one thing I want to express today to you and to everyone is thank you for supporting us. A launch is a lot to do. It's expensive. And you have my personal guarantee. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that's turned into a fruitful ministry in Yorktown, Virginia.
South Hills, I just hope that you continue to pray for Pastor Cooper, his wife Stephanie, South Hills, Virginia campus, and as they continue to invest in this community. This is what we're all about, to be able to reach people in the community, let them know that there is a God who loves them, wants to be a part of their life, and that they can start a relationship with Jesus and start to grow in that personal relationship with God.
Hey guys, well, good morning. My name is Dan Edwards. I am the Ohio South Hills campus pastor. I'm excited to see everybody here on a nice, snowy Ohio morning, right? With that, it's beginning of the year. We always do a lot of stuff at the beginning of the year. We add a lot of things. Anybody going to the gym? Anybody adding fasting? Anybody adding dieting? Anybody adding reading a book? Anybody adding all these different things that you might add in your New Year's resolutions? In this series, we're talking about actually subtracting something from your life. How many of you ever felt like you're overbooked? You just got too much to do, too many places to be. How do you say no successfully without feeling super guilty about it, right? Because I always say, I feel bad saying no. Sometimes it might be somebody's birthday party. Oh my gosh, what kind of person are you to say no to a birthday party? What kind of person are you to say no to a kid wanting $20 because they want to go to the movies? It's hard to say no successfully. But we've got to learn in this week 3 series of subtraction, we can find ourselves overbooked, way overbooked. So let me tell you a story about a movie that I love. Have you guys ever wished somebody stuck up for you or you stuck up for yourself? You ever wish you pushed back, you said no, you set a boundary? Anybody ever wish they would have walked away from an unhealthy relationship or quit their job or did anything boldly just to take back their own life? If you're thinking to yourself, man, that sounds awesome, watch Jerry Maguire. It's a good movie. This guy is up all night and he's typing out a manifesto of everything he wished he would have really done in his business. How he wished he would have made it about athletes, made it about their families as he's representing them as their agent. And then in the middle of the night, he sends it to everybody in the office. We should be taking back, and we should be doing it this way. he doesn't really quit his job, right? He gets fired. But then he says, does anybody want to go with me? Does anybody want to accomplish this? Does anybody feel the same way I feel? And somebody read that paper. They're really inspired, and she raises her hand and then stands up and says, I'll quit my job. Has a kid, single mom. And she's like, this is what we should be doing. I'm inspired by this. And that movie is very touching. I mean, they really go to work and try to figure out how to accomplish their dreams and everything they envisioned. And you have to watch the movie to find out, I'm sorry. But it's a snowy day in Ohio. What else do you have to do today? Say no to something and watch that movie today. And you'll see what I'm talking about. It's really cool, but we all say, I wish I could do that. I wish I could just be part of something that I really believe in. It begs the question, if you should and you can, why can't you? Why don't you? Because you've been there before. You found yourself saying yes when you wanted to say no, going to do things you didn't want to do or be at, taking on projects you had no business doing. Anybody else? I've said yes to a lot of things I should have said no to. You ever felt the tension between the people that you said yes to, that you should have said no to? You feel the pressure, the tension. It's an internal conviction. Oh man, and there's external action that now you have to keep up with. Why don't we end up doing what we set out to do, being who we set out to be? You guys hear me? This is serious business. There's no better message for a Christian to get than this one this morning. Once we identify what we want, what we're called to be, why are we still unable to go after it? Ernie, Dale, you guys have this network that you're setting up, and you want to counsel and you want to help people, you want to coach people. And I'm telling you right now, there's nothing stopping these two from accomplishing their goals, but they're going to have to say no to some stuff because they know what they're trying to accomplish and what they're not trying to accomplish. But these are a good thing. Couldn't you just do this too? No, that's not the purpose of why we started what we started. Why do we end up not being where we want to be? Once we identify what we want, why are we still unable to go after it? Here's why. Because it's not enough to know what's most important. You have to say no to what's not important. And it doesn't mean it's not a good thing. Most of us were just not great at saying no. And I'm telling you, in this season, in this new year, say no to some things. Subtract some things out of your life that keep you overbooked for no good reason. I told you guys, I had to say no to baseball because I want to say yes to basketball. And basketball wasn't getting the attention that it needed in order to succeed at the level I wanted to see it, but I'd say yes to baseball, which would interfere with my schedule long term. Why am I doing this? Why? Because it needs to get done or it won't get done. Then don't let it get done because that's not what I'm called to do. For you, if you're not called to do it, I'm asking you to say no. We don't say no for a good reason. We say no because we're afraid. We're worried we'll miss out on something. We're worried we're not going to fit in or be accepted. We're scared of rocking the boat, stirring things up, burning a bridge. Oh, if you don't do this, then administration may not like you or so-and-so may not like you. We hate the thought of disappointing someone that we like or we respect. I had to go to the baseball coach of the varsity team and say, Coach, hey, is there anybody lined up to help me or do anything in baseball? Oh, yeah, actually, this guy. I said, well, he's a really good coach, actually. You mind if he would take it over? And then I could focus on basketball. He said, yeah, I really like what you guys are doing over there in the basketball program. That'd be awesome if you kept it going year round. I really believe they'd make ground and catch back up to where they need to be. Well, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was. I thought he was going to say, no, you committed to this. You need to do that. It's not as hard to say no as you would think. Now, sometimes you will ruffle feathers. Sometimes you will upset people. For some of us, the thought of saying no makes us sick to our stomach. The nervousness, the anxiousness, it overwhelms us. But these things, they cloud our clarity. The truth is, you can either say no or regret it for a few minutes, or say yes and regret it for a few days, months, or even years. You got to say no. It stinks. You know how awkward it was for me to tell that baseball coach? I don't know this is going to hurt his program because they weren't going to have a program last year if I didn't step up. I don't want to have to fill the holes in a boat. I want to drive the boat. So if he's going to have to find somebody to fill holes, it ain't going to be me this year. And I thought I'm just going to ruffle feathers. I was nervous. I felt guilty about the kids that I'd already coached. I got to see them through. No, I don't. I got to do what God's called me to do. Period, point blank. What has God called you to do? If God has called you to do a coaching ministry to help those, if God, like Sherry Roby has an outreach coming up, and it's right before Valentine's Day. And these women have about $900 worth of stuff that she's planned out to give away to. She's got these really nice bags. She's got chocolates and items that they can use. And Sherry's planning to go out. She's counted and calculated the cost. She said no to other things in her life and said, this is what I'm going to do for this a set period and amount of time. I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to plan it out. I'm going to budget it. And you have a chance to give towards her initiative, which is really God's initiative of loving people, loving those who are less fortunate. But she can't do it all on her own. So we're going to have an above and beyond. Anything above and beyond your tithes, we want you to give to that initiative, to helping these ladies feel loved. Because these ladies are abused, neglected, prostituted. And Sherry says, my heart is broken for them. And I want to extend the love and the grace and the kindness of Jesus Christ to them. Now, I'm going to say no to going to the event. But I'm not going to say no to helping her. She needs 2 drivers, I think, 1 driver. She needs a van full of people, and Don's going to drive. And she needs some people to help her. And if you feel called to this ministry, you go to this ministry. And you do it, and you do it wholeheartedly. Because this all started with a thought. And it's going to end up with people getting saved. It's going to end up with people being cared for. It's going to end up being the extended hands and feet of Jesus Christ, the Lord Almighty. So you can either say no, and you can regret it for a few minutes. Hey, I can't do this because I'm going to do this ministry. I'm going to partner with this group. I'm going to start something, and I'm going to have to say no. And you're going to feel bad. But you're not going to regret it for days, weeks, months, or even years of your life. You ever felt trapped in a commitment you never wanted in the first place, and you find yourself feeling resentful, bitter, angry at the person who even asked you? You were the one that said yes when you knew your gut told you to say no. And you're thinking, man, it's not that easy. And the reason it's not easy, it's something called sunk cost bias. It's the tendency to continue sinking time, money, and energy into something we know won't succeed because we've already done it. We're already in the deep. We've seen this 1,000 times. Some of us, our kids ask us for help, and we keep giving them help. We keep giving them money. We keep giving them resources. And we know they have no plan, no budget. They've done this before. Why do we keep doing it? Because we love them. Sometimes saying no is love. Sometimes saying no is love. Sometimes it's not going to be easy, but there's a sunk cost bias, like, I'm in too deep. Oh, I can't stop now. They can't get on their feet. They can't do this. I get it. I have friends. I have people, I have coworkers who've all needed something, and sometimes you got to say no. And you feel guilty about that. And I understand that. But how do we keep ending up here? You know, I will give money to anybody who asks the church for money. I'm just going to say you have to attend a service, and we have to go over your budget, bring your bank statement when you come. Not one person in almost 19 years of doing that has ever attended a church service, brought their bank statement, and allowed me to go over a budget with them and pay for one of their bills. Because they're not really interested in getting out of the situation they put themselves in. And they're not really interested in me seeing what they spent their money on. Isn't that crazy? So how do we say no firmly, resolutely, but yet gracefully? It's not that you're a horrible, weak-willed person. It's that as soon as you determine that you're going to do something and what you need to say no to, you'll immediately discover it's not easy as you thought. You're going to get some pushback, some resistance. And not everyone else is excited about this newfound clarity that you have. What do you mean you're going to say no, Mom? What do you mean you're going to say no, Dad? Wait a second. I know the position that you're in, boss man. I know what kind of money you make and what you make off of me. Ooh. People come at you when you say no. You don't think I've heard that statement before as a boss? I know what you guys made last week, and you're only paying me this? You'd immediately discover this is not as easy as you thought, and not everyone else is excited about you saying no. Opposition often escalates in stages, and we see this in the story of Nehemiah. So let me bring this biblical perspective up to you. We're going to start in Nehemiah chapter 4, verses 1 through 3. The very first stage is going to be doubt. In chapter 4, verses 1, it says, "Now when Sanballat heard that they were building the wall, he was angry and greatly enraged, and he jeered at the Jews. And he said in the presence of his brothers and of the army of Samaria, 'What are these feeble Jews doing? Will they restore it all themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they finish up in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heap of rubbish and burn ones?' At that, Tobiah the Ammonite was beside himself, and he said, 'Yes, what they are building, if a fox goes up on it, he will break down their stone wall.'" Here comes the doubt that even a fox running across the top of this wall would break this wall down. They wouldn't even be able to do it. They can't do all this work. This church can't make an impact in the community like they think they are. There's doubt being cast. That's the number one thing in the very first stage. Others, they'll question you. And then you begin to question yourself. Who do you think you are? Then you'll start thinking, did I make the right choice? Do I even have what it takes? Is this even possible? Can I keep this up? We'll all find ourselves in that stage of doubt. Quickly, it's going to move to stage 2, the resistance. The resistance. Chapter 4, verse 7 and 8, it says, "But then Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabs and the Ammonites and the Ashdodites heard that they were repairing the walls of Jerusalem and that it was going forward and that the breaches were beginning to be closed. They were very angry, and they all plotted together to come and fight against Jerusalem to cause confusion in it." There's always resistance. You start doing a good job, and here they come. Who is they? They always come. They always talk. They always plot against you. You realize significant change is difficult, it's inconvenient, and it's frustrating. It's just more doubt. You're running into physical roadblocks. It's not happening as fast as you'd like. You can't get people on board. Some of you are actively plotting against me, or they're actively plotting against you. They're spreading rumors. They're rooting for you to fail. They're stacking resources and influences against you. Isn't that crazy? All because you're trying to do a good thing? Whenever you do a good thing and a God thing, doubt will creep in and resistance will creep in. Stage number 3, the fallout. Oh man, this is like a movie. You could just see it. The fallout. Chapter 4, verse 10, in Judah it was said, the strength of those who bear the burden is failing. There is too much rubble. By ourselves we will not be able to rebuild the wall. The fallout. You begin to experience the consequences of following through. You're doing such a good job. What entangled you? What snare did you fall into? What happened? You were running a good race. You were doing a good work. Here comes the fallout. People that don't like your decision, they sever the relationship. Wait a second, you're the one that helped me start this thing. For instance, everybody who helped me start the church is gone. Every last person. Every single person. People that named a name. People that attended. People that gave. People who sacrificed. There's a fallout. Things happen. Look around, guys. If everybody who attended our church stayed, we'd have 3 services right now. It's crazy. In your personal life, you start doing something for God, you start helping your neighbors, all of a sudden the other neighbor's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Well, because he's 85 years old. I just want to do his lawn. People are going to talk about you. Doing a good thing. People do that. It's the fallout. You feel a strain of all things and you can no longer do it. You're tempted to give up because the costs feel too high. It's too much. The pressure, the strain. Stage 4, the reinforcements. Look around you. The reinforcements show up. Stage 4 in Nehemiah 4:13. So in the lowest parts of the space behind the wall, in open places, I stationed the people by their clans, with their swords, with their spears, with their bows. These people had to protect the walls from being destroyed. Sometimes you have to protect the church from being destroyed. Sometimes you have to protect your ministries from being destroyed. Sometimes you have to protect your families from being destroyed. Sometimes you have to protect your relationships from being destroyed. Sometimes you have to protect your businesses from being destroyed. Outside influences want to crush you. They don't like you. You got to remind yourself why you chose this course of action. You got to tell yourself why it inspires you. Why are you gifted to do what you do and why it positively impacts the world? Maybe you just own a business, but you started that business for a reason. And maybe you wanted to give those profits away. And maybe you wanted to impact the world and missions. And maybe you wanted to impact the community. Now you're thinking, is it worth staying? You double down your efforts instead of backing down. You bring in the reinforcements. By God and only by God, this is going to happen. I'm going to fulfill my call to ministry. I'm going to fulfill my call to my family. I'm going to fulfill my call to my community. You double down your efforts. You don't back down. You make a plan not to ignore the doubt. You don't ignore the resistance. You don't ignore the fallout, but you address them. In other words, you continue to confidently say no to all these other things because you have a plan and you have a purpose. This is your life. Take it back. We used to sing a song, "Take back what he stole from me." Because the enemy has stole some things from you and you should take it back. Not just give it up, not just give in, double down. Not on my watch. Amen. Building a better tomorrow, it's going to require you to have a system for saying no today. How do we go about that? I'm glad you asked. I have 6 ways to help you. How to firmly and resolutely yet gracefully say no. 1, separate the decision from your relationship. Let that sink in. You can say no and still be friends. If they can't, they weren't your friend to begin with. They were your friend because you were a yes man or a yes woman. Number 2, calculate the cost of your yes. Nehemiah counted the cost of the walls. He got resources to help with his project. He calculated the cost of his yes. Number 3, prioritize your needs over their wants. Number 4, pursue respect over popularity. Gosh, everybody will like me if I just be this baseball coach. Everybody's going to respect you if you stick with basketball for the rest of the year and for the rest of their college careers. They're going to make it to college because you said yes. They're going to get a scholarship because you said yes. I have the chance to impact a young man's life for future generations of his family. Or everybody can like me as the baseball coach too. I'm going to say no to that. And I'm going to say yes to this. Number 5, say no without saying no. What? Leverage an awkward pause. Like that one. Hey, can you help me this Sunday? I really need help, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, an awkward pause does a lot. Maybe they realize, hey, that's probably not such a good idea. You're a pastor, you're pretty busy, you probably just got done. Yeah, oh man, okay, I get it. What about you? Just give an awkward pause. I'd love to, meaning I really want to, but I got this instead. Can't do both. Man, I'd love to make it out to the birthday party on Saturday. I really would. I'm not getting invited to any birthday parties anymore after this sermon. Invite me to all the parties. I actually show up. I actually go. I say no to other things to make it to the parties because I love the food you guys cook, and I love the kids, and I love the environment, and that's what I want to say yes to, so I say no to a lot of other things. I'd love to, but I'm actually going to a birthday party. I'd love to, but I've actually scheduled family time. Do you know if you say you scheduled family time, how many people will respect that because they don't have family time? Let me check my calendar and I'll get back with you. Calendar says too busy. It's not me, it's the calendar. Got the email bounce back. They email you and you just, hey, I'm out of the office. Didn't really want to take that email anyways. Absolutely, what should I deprioritize to make this happen? Little humor in that, okay, don't be like serious. Dude, I love to do this, but what am I going to take away in order to accomplish this? I'd love to coach baseball, but I don't have the time for it. You know how I have to take away to do all that? No way I could do it. You're welcome. I'm willing to do this if. Yes, I'll say yes. But what are you going to help me with in order to make that happen? Sherry, I would love to go do this outreach because I love outreach. But I'm doing a gas card giveaway the next day. Can you help me with the gas card giveaway so that I can make both? She's going to tell you what? Yes or no? And you're going to be happy with the yes or no. Take the help. Now you both have time to do both things. Or no, you go do your thing, I'll go do my thing, and we'll both get them done. There's nothing wrong with talking. There's nothing wrong with civility. It's okay. I can't do it, but Gary might be interested. Gary, I love you. But you've got to say no too, my friend. I love you, Ernie. But you have to say, look, I can't do this, but maybe Dale will. I can't do this. You know what? You don't just throw somebody random in there. I gave everybody the opportunity to come in and say if they wanted to do more, if they wanted to be part of something, let me know. If you missed that 10 o'clock meeting, if you want to do anything, if you want to be more a part of church, if you like to take your next steps, go back there, see Ivan and say, I'd like to get involved in this. And then when this opportunity arises, I'll say, hey, you know what? John is actually interested in this area. You should connect with him. He'll be able to help you. He's been talking to me about doing outreach. Works perfect, Miss Sherry. Give him a call. The last thing, be clear. Be clear. Even Jesus is clear. In Matthew 22, 36 and 40, he says, Teacher, with this, which is the great commandment in the law? And he said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And second is like it. You should love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. That is very clear answer. What should I do? You should love God with everything you have. And like it, you should love people. It's as clear as it gets. Everything depends on you doing those two things. In Matthew 16:23, there's clear boundaries when it comes to distractions and temptations. It says, but he turned and said to Peter, get behind me, Satan. You are a hindrance to me, for you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man. That is clear. That is a boundary. Not doing that. Get behind me, Satan. Bold statement. His name wasn't Satan. It was Peter. It's not the things of God. It's very clear what you do with distractions and temptations. Call it out. It's not what we're supposed to be doing. You have to be blunt about it. I wonder if Peter said anything else after he was called Satan. Or he's like, hey, I better fall in line. Quit questioning this guy. We don't have to be super blunt about it, but you have to be clear. The idea here is whatever is tempting us away from God, whatever is messing with us for this season, this time in your life, you need to put it behind you. And you need to move on. And you need to grow up. And you need to be clear of why you're doing what you're doing. Gosh, I messed up. I haven't been reading my devotional. Okay, I'm going to put that behind me now. I'm not going to beat myself up, but from here on out, I'm going to set 2 alarm clocks on my phone. I'm going to wake up in the morning. I'm going to do it first so I don't get distracted. That's a pretty good plan, pretty clear, pretty great. So how do I get started? How do I change my life? How do I say no to certain things? How do I say yes to what God has really called me to do? You make a list of what needs to go, and you start saying no. There are things in your life that need to go. There are relationships that need to go. There are jobs that need to go. There's all kinds of things that need to go. You start by making a list saying, this is really stopping me from doing what I've been called to do. You know, my mom, very hard worker. She worked at Walmart, Big Bear, Target, Meijer, those kind of stores her whole life. Worked her way up as a manager of produce. She worked so hard she needed 2 knee replacements. She barely made any money her whole life. I said, Mom, what'd you really want to do? She said, my dream job would probably be being a librarian. What? That's so obtainable. You could have stopped working at Target and Walmart and probably made the same amount of money doing what you really wanted to do, but we get sucked into a life, and I've been there, I've worked factory jobs half my life to do ministry because I had to. Not because I wanted to. Most of us don't want to do what we do, but why? I'm almost positive we can find what you want to do, or we can make you, because some of us, it would be, hey, I want to make really good money so that I can give it away. Okay, well, you might not be doing what you love, but you'll have the resources to do it because what you really love is the money that you're going to be able to give away. So is your job profitable enough to do that? Then it might not be something you love, but what you love is the benefit of doing that job, right? You guys following me? So that one still works out and checks out, even if it's not something you dream of doing when you wake up in the morning. I dream of doing home inspections. No, it paid the bills. But all of a sudden, I found a calling in it that I didn't care if I got paid or not. These people were making a $375,000 decision based on a report that I was handing them. I need them to have all the information that they could possibly have for the largest investment of their life. And I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm just going to hand them a report and you do what you want with it. Based on the information that you found, would you buy this house? Ma'am, I'm not in the market to buy a house. I have a house. You have this report. You got any questions? I would ask them. So I found love in that job. So even if I wasn't paid, I'd still do it. I'd do it for free because I care. But wouldn't it be cool if you could care and get paid? Yeah. Well, I don't care. I just want to make 100K. Okay, I got 7 jobs. I'm thinking off the top of my head where you can make 100K. And you could do it in a fairly short amount of time. So if your job is to do that because you want to be financially set free and you want to be able to give money away and you want to be able to tithe, let's talk. Because I believe whatever you're trying to accomplish can be done. But you'll have to say no to some things. Make a list of what needs to go and start saying no. Saying no is hard, but I pray you'll have the courage to do it, amen? I want to pray for you guys. I want to pray for each and every one of you. Maybe you're here and you need to take the next steps. I think it was so cool in the last discovery class that somebody said, I need to take the next steps. I need to get involved in small groups. Somebody else said, I need to get involved in small groups. And somebody else said, I need to start giving consistently. To do those 2 things took them saying no to other things. It just does. I want to help people with their next steps. I don't know what your next steps are, but you do. How do I partner with you, and how does the church partner with you to accomplish all the things that God has for you personally? How does he do it for you in high school? How does he do it for those in college? How does he do it for those in the workforce? How does he do it for those who are facing retirement or in retirement? How does he do it for those who are on welfare? I will help you. Ernie and Dale will coach you. All because they had a dream of helping people accomplish the goals that God had given them. Is there anybody in this room that would say, my first step is to say yes to Jesus? I don't have a great relationship with him, or I have no relationship with him. Is there anybody in the room that says, I want to commit to him? I want to get right with God, and I know that's through Jesus Christ. Is there anybody that says, I want to start my relationship with him today? Would you raise your hand real quick? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there anybody in this room that will admit they need to say no to some things? Would you raise your hand and say, yes, Pastor, I do need to say no to some things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hands up all over the place. You're not alone. Here's my prayer for you. God, I pray for bold clarity. I pray for clarity so bold that people take the next step, an action step. That people realize their calling and their why God created them. Why are they here in Groveport? Why are they in this church service? God, I pray through the Holy Spirit and conviction that they would say no to some stuff so they can see how freeing it is. They're overbooked, they're overwhelmed, they're saying yes to so many things. God, I pray that we would say no so that we would be freed up to do what you've really called us to do and how to do it. God, I pray for your people today that they're encouraged and they're equipped to take the next steps in Jesus' name. And everybody said,
Amen.
South Hills Church, I just want to take a moment and say thank you for watching our service online. Whether you're watching it for the first time or you're watching it again because you enjoyed the service so much from the weekend, I'd like to take a moment and dive into our giving. Every week we give people the opportunity to give back and give to the local church so that God can continue to bless your lives and bless your finances. Here at South Hills, we believe that everything comes from God. We believe that He's the one that chose us and brought us into this world, gave us our gifts and talents and abilities. And I just want you to know that when we give, we are giving back what God has already given to us. If you've ever seen any of our envelopes at a South Hills campus, you'll see on there that it says, every week at South Hills, your generosity is giving people the opportunity to live a better story. And there's a scripture on there in Matthew chapter 6, verse 21 that says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So I want to encourage you today to click down below and set up your giving, whether it's for the first time or whether you're doing reoccurring giving. We have 4 ways to give here at South Hills. 1, you can do it in person at any of our campuses through an envelope. Or 2, you can actually text any amount that you would like to 84321. And the 3rd way is to download our Church Center app. I encourage you to do this one because the Church Center app gives you opportunity to stay connected with our church and your campuses. It's a great tool and resource for you to know what's going on. And the 4th way to give is to give online. You can go to southhills.org/give and you can set up your giving there. Whether you're a guest of our church or whether you are a member of our church, or whether you simply just like to watch our services, I encourage you to trust God with your finances so that He can bless and anoint your finances, and you can be trusting God in this journey of living life to the fullest. I love you, and thank you for watching our online service today.